Welcome to another edition of DFS Picks through Monkey Knife Fight here on Fantasy Focus. I'm Derek Tate alongside Ryan Levy as we break down our picks for the Seattle Seahawks traveling to South Beach to take on the Miami Dolphins. And is there a hotter team on the offensive side of the football to start the year than the Seattle Seahawks? Russell Wilson's already got himself an MVP campaign cooking so far to start the 2020 season, but we got to figure this out as far as the over-unders when it comes to their matchup against the Miami Dolphins. Miami is a team that we don't really expect to make any sort of noise in the playoffs. They're in the AFC, but I mean, they did just play pretty well against a haphazard Jacksonville Jaguars team. And we've seen Ryan Fitzpatrick, sling the rock all over the place when faced with a large deficit. So, Levy, these over-unders are going to be a little bit more tricky than probably most think.
Oh, yeah. And Vegas is expecting some fireworks in this one. I just want to note that the over-under for this game is set at 54 points. So you said the offense is hot, but the defense is pretty cold there for Seattle. It should be an interesting game, which means for a lot of fantasy points, buddy.
Absolutely. So we're starting this off with a rapid fire. 3 for 3. You get 5 times whatever your buy-in is if you hit on all 3 of these individual matchups. Rapid fire pits 2 players against each other in whatever statistical category is above their name. In this case, we've got Russell Wilson versus Ryan Fitzpatrick, pure passing yardage. And Ryan Fitzpatrick is actually getting 10.5 passing yards with – I don't know. I know Chris Carson's a little bit banged up, but Russell Wilson, the way that he's playing right now, I don't know if the Dolphins are going to be able to keep up with the Seattle Seahawks in this game. But it wouldn't shock me if with how much Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to have to throw the football to try to keep up, that the yardage may be kind of a wash. And obviously Monkey Knife Fight has it set at only a 10.5 yardage handicap for Ryan Fitzpatrick heading into this matchup. How do you see it playing out between the 2 gunslingers?
Yeah, I look at the spread too, and Seattle's only favored by 5.5 points here. You would expect it.
That's weird.
You'd expect it to be a lot higher. So they're expecting this game to be pretty close. So naturally, I want to lean Russ Wilson here because 10.5 yards is a pretty small number in my opinion. If it's going to be that close, do we really expect Ryan Fitzpatrick to surpass Russell Wilson in terms of yardage?
Well, the odd thing enough about this matchup and the way really the Seattle Seahawks have been playing this entire 2020 season is they're staying aggressive on the offensive side of the football, regardless of whether they have a lead. It just so happens that every single game that they've been in so far in 2020 has been against a team it's turned into a shootout every single matchup. But I just feel like Russell Wilson, we saw Josh Allen tune up this Dolphins secondary back in week 2. And if Josh Allen can do it, I'm certainly confident that Russell Wilson's going to be able to tune them up through the air because the way that the receivers are playing, the pass catchers there for Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks certainly is, at a very high level. And we're going to get to Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf here in just a moment. But yeah, I just expect that the only argument we can make is that Ryan Fitzpatrick, to even be able to stay in this, he's just going to have to toss it around the yard, and he's probably going to have his fair share of interceptions and mistakes. But, one thing about Ryan Fitzpatrick is we know he'll just keep firing away. But I still got Russell Wilson because I don't know if this secondary for Miami is going to be able to really slow down this passing attack.
Yeah, and to me, it just seems like Seattle's a different team this year. Typically they rely heavily on their defense and they just run the shit out of the ball, right? It seems like you said this year, Russ is just they're playing real aggressive. They're just tossing it all over the yard, and he looks like the MVP right now. I know it's hard to argue against Mahomes, but I'm with you on this one. I'm gonna go Russ Wilson.
All right, yeah, because we've seen Russell Wilson, the lowest mark that he's put up all season long in the passing yardage category is 288. And I know that secondary for the Seahawks has really, really struggled. But I still just feel like Russell Wilson's going to be able to tune up this secondary through the air. So let's go ahead and move on to the next matchup. It's receptions. And really, this one to me, Levy, we don't even need to really super dive into this one. I think it's very, very simple. It's a layup in particular because Tyler Lockett's actually getting half a reception against DK Metcalf. And through the first 3 weeks, Tyler Lockett is averaging 8 receptions per game to DK Metcalf's 4. So this one to me is easy. Just don't overthink this one. I mean, matchup-wise, I don't know if the Dolphins have any cornerbacks. I mean, Xavier Howard is certainly a damn good corner, which anything, that means I want to kind of go in the matchup department. I'd rather go with Tyler Lockett, who they move all over the field and all over the formation. So give me Lockett in this receptions battle.
Right. You know, when I look at it, like my gut reaction is to say Metcalf until you actually look at the numbers. It's kind of dumbfounding, you know, even in terms of targets, like Lockett over 3 games, 9, 7, 8, or sorry, those are receptions. Target 13, 8, 8, and DK is 8, 6, 8. So the upside, I would say, you know, just for fantasy points, you know, DK is scoring every week, and I know Lockett had a monster game last week, but for me, yeah, when you're getting a half a reception, I'll go Lockett all day here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not disparaging. And is there a way that DK Metcalf could definitely finish with more receptions than Tyler Lockett in the game? Absolutely. But you got to go with the information that we have, and the information that we have, you know, screams that Tyler Lockett is easily the pick here, in particular when he's getting half a reception. So sometimes it's really just that simple. And then finally, we've got Devontae Parker versus Preston Williams as far as receiving yardage goes. Again, I know that Preston Williams in this matchup is getting 16.5 receiving yards as a handicap, but still give me Devontae Parker. Parker's been battling through like a hamstring injury as it is. And I think that we've seen with a credible sample size through the first 3 weeks that Parker is really the go-to receiver for Ryan Fitzpatrick to start the season. Even when he's been dinged up, he's been out targeting, gaining Preston Williams on a weekly basis pretty handily. So, give me Parker.
Preston hasn't really done anything this year so far. I know he scored a touchdown. What was that? I guess it was last week, right? But he had 2 catches for 7 yards on a touchdown. This one's easy for me, man. I have no hesitation on this. And you know I am a Devontae Parker truther. I believe in this kid more than anyone. And he's banged up, and he's doing decent. So if you guys have never played a rapid fire here, it's 5x you're buying. So I'm going to throw $5 on this to win 25. All you got to do is get 3 out of 3. It's that easy, right, Tater?
Absolutely. So also, if this is your first time coming across Monkey Knife Fight and you've not heard of any of the fantasy prop bet kind of games that they play through on that website, go to monkeyknifefight.com, create an account, use the promo code FOCUSED, and Monkey Knife Fight will automatically match your first deposit up to $50 into your account. So that brings us to always my favorite contest of all of these Monkey Knife Fight picks for every single one of the NFL games. It's the 6 for 6, more or less, 35 times your buy-in. So basically, you put $2 on this contest and you can win 70. That's a no-brainer to me. I'm so close to getting over the hump. I've got 7 5-hitters, 5 out of 6. I just feel like this is the week, man. This is the week where I finally get over the hump. I bet $6. I ended up making like 300 or something in my account. It's that type of week, man. I could just feel it.
Oh, I love it, man. I know you've hit a few of them, but 5 out of 6 on several, that's just painful. That's tough to swallow.
It's tough. It is a tough pill to swallow, man. Admittedly, it's really, really rough. But we'll start off with the 2 quarterbacks, and Russell Wilson in particular, 295.5 passing yards. The one argument that you can make that potentially you would hesitate to say that he's going to get to this mark, he's played 3 decent football teams and ones that can certainly put up points in through the first 3 weeks of the 2020 season. But, you know, Russell Wilson is just cooking right now, and there's no way that I want to go less. He's only had, 1 game under the 295 mark all season. And
right,
I don't think the Dolphins are going to really be able to slow him down.
I'm with you 100% on that. I mean, law of averages here, he's crushing so far, and it was 288 against the Pats.
Yeah. So what about Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Well, I mean,
280, what is it, 285.5?
Yeah. So this is tough though, because, well, I'm going to say Russ Wilson goes over 300 pretty easily. So I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to finish just under 300, but I'm going to go more for sure here, because I think they have no choice. If they're going to keep this game close, they're going to have to throw it around the yard.
Here's a side note. There's actually one small, and I don't think it's going to be this week. I think it's going to be some point this season. We're going to see Tua Tagovailoa. I don't think it's going to be this week. Fitzpatrick played really well last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but there's always that little bit of me that feels if Fitzpatrick struggles that we could see a Tua sighting at some point.
Right.
I don't think it's this week though. So, Fitzpatrick has been really, really, really up and down. Against New England, he failed to top 200 yards. He failed to top 200 yards against Jacksonville because of what felt like game flow and his efficiency. And then against Buffalo, though, he dropped 328. So he's been real volatile as far as his passing yardage totals go. But I will go ahead and lean more in this one, because I do think that the Seahawks are going to jump on the Miami Dolphins, and the secondary too has just been giving up yards to anybody they have faced this season. So I'll roll with you, even though I don't feel quite as confident in this one. I will roll with the more on Ryan Fitzpatrick at 285.5 yards.
Yeah.
Tyler Lockett, we just talked about him in the rapid fire matchup versus DK Metcalf, and how he's averaging 8.5 receptions, or he's averaging 8 receptions per game, period. He's got 24 through the first 3 weeks.
No brainer.
No brainer over or more on 5.5 receptions.
I mean, to me, it is look, I'm a stats guy. He hasn't had less than 5.5 all season. So why do we doubt it now, unless we think the Seahawks are going to completely blow out the Dolphins, and they just don't need to throw the ball that much. But for me, with that defense, from what we've seen from Seattle so far, I just don't know if I see them completely blowing them out. Maybe towards the end of the game, yeah, but I think it's going to be competitive to start.
I will say that if the over or more or less was set at 7.5, I'd be a little bit I'd be a lot more hesitant actually, because of the mentioned game flow that I'm projecting is going to take place in this game. But 5.5, you could hit that in the first half. Just being able to extend drives and third downs and stuff of that nature. So yeah, I'll take the more on Tyler Lockett. Now this one, again, so this is kind of needs to be prefaced when we're talking about any of our Monkey Knife Fight episodes here on Fantasy Focused. If you play a contest on Monkey Knife Fight where the player is injured and he becomes inactive due to injury, they will just go ahead and credit that money back into your account and cancel the contest. So you don't need to worry about, playing a contest with an injured player that's questionable heading into a game. For that purpose, though, 57.5 rushing yards for Chris Carson, more or less.
I'm actually going to say less here. There was questions that if he was going to miss 2 or 3 weeks here, and now all of a sudden he's playing. He had a sprained knee, if I'm not mistaken. That's painful. He's playing through something here. And I just think Russ is going to air it out here. They're going to take it easy on Chris Carson this week. I say that now. Watch, he'll have 20 carries for 130 yards against Miami. But I want to say less here. Talk me out of it.
When someone's dealing with an injury, and it's something significant like some sort of knee sprain for a running back, and against a team that they could easily jump out to a lead, is there a possibility where we see a ton of Travis Homer or Carlos Hyde if he becomes active, or DJ Dallas, or some sort of other running back that gets the nod because of the fact that they're playing with a lead? And why risk Chris Carson and his knee sprain? Why put, he practiced though. So there is, I don't want to talk. I'm going to go with you. My gut says less. My gut says less.
Dude, one helmet to that knee, and he's back on the bench. I'm nervous about it. It makes more sense for me to go less.
One faulty plant, right. That's all it takes is just one faulty plant. So I'm going to go less with you on that. Devontae Parker, 73.5 receiving yards. This one, if we're projecting that Fitzpatrick is going to have to throw the ball a lot to be able to try to keep up with Russell Wilson and company, and we're high on, Parker is the one weapon that I feel confident that the Seahawks just aren't going to have an answer for in this game. I actually feel pretty confident about him hitting that over on 73.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I know he actually hasn't hit that yet this season.
I know, but he's been injured. I mean, he didn't even finish week 1.
Right. Yes, I still want to do it. I mean, the target count has been iffy, but I just feel like this is the week where he gets that 8-catch game, maybe eclipses a hundo. So I'm going Devontae Parker. You'll hear me on Sunday morning. I'm going to say Devontae Parker in every scenario. You need to start Devontae Parker. If you're not joining us live on Sunday mornings, we are live at 10:30 Eastern here on YouTube. The whole damn crew, all 4 of us. Let's go. Devontae Parker, baby.
Join me, and I'll complete your fantasy training. All right. You don't even know that reference, so don't laugh. Anyway.
Is that the Matrix?
No. That's James Earl Jones as Darth Vader. Anyway. So DK Metcalf, the last one of this 6 for 6, 35 times you're buying, more or less. So we got 5.5 receptions. Again, we just discussed his numbers. So 5.5, though, there's certainly some room for Metcalf to be able to eat against the secondary. So this one isn't quite as cut and dry as it was for Tyler Lockett, more or less on 5.5 receptions, Levy.
For me, I mean, he hasn't done it yet this year. He's had a great fantasy season. Don't get me wrong. He's scoring. And the yardage is certainly there. I think he gets 5 catches, for another 90 yards and a touchdown, and that's it. So I naturally want to lean less.
The sample size is there. We've seen all we can go with is by how much what the information is through the first 3 weeks. And the first 3 weeks has said that DK Metcalf is getting a ton of looks vertically. He's obviously popping big on a weekly basis. He should have had 2 touchdowns last week, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see that play, for decades to come on the celebrated too early compilation, videos that are going to be all throughout YouTube. But, when it comes to Metcalf against the secondary, he's capable of going over 5.5 receptions. I just don't think that he's going to need to. So I'm going to go less and go with what we've seen so far as his trend is averaging 4 receptions per game.
All right. I'm actually going to throw a 5 on it. I'm getting spicy. Getting spicy. 5 to win, 175. It just sounds so good, doesn't it?
Yeah, the only thing Chris Carson, man, it's the one question mark about this entire contest.
I know, man. We got a couple questions here from Victor. What's up, buddy? Good.
Victor Jace.
Always. Needs help here. He says he needs to sit CEH in his flex, which is an interesting point here. I actually agree with the philosophy, and I know you probably do as well, Tater.
Right.
We don't know that the game will actually be played on Monday or Tuesday, so it's a risk, right? If you got someone else to play in your flex and you've got a Chiefs player or a Pats player, you should probably fire in whoever else is available on your roster. So with that being said, who would you rather throw in, Parker or Boyd in the CEH flex spot?
Interesting when it comes to this decision between Parker and Boyd. It's actually one I'm facing in another league. And
Same.
Parker, yeah. I mean, I'm not shocked with you. I mean, pretty much every listener question could be from you in a burner account because of how many leads that you have. But when it comes to Tyler Boyd in particular, I'm not sitting Tyler Boyd right now, even though the matchup for Devontae Parker is great. And what I expect the game flow to be should be also in his favor considerably. So I think you're choosing between 2 right answers. But we've seen every single week Joe Burrow under center getting more comfortable. And guess who he's been connecting with more so than anybody else on this team? And it's improved every single week. Tyler Boyd. Boyd's gone from 5 targets in week 1 to 8 in week 2, up to 13 in week 3. And receptions have climbed along with it. 4, 7, 10. I mean, I love what I'm seeing between that connection between Boyd and Burrow. So give me Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It hurts my soul to fade Devontae Parker, but I mean, it's just hard to argue with the production and the targets and the new connection with Joey B. So I will agree there and say that you should go with Boyd over Parker. And then last question, do you see Fitzmagic as a starting QB next season if COVID doesn't make sports a stinker? for me, I don't know. I don't really see him as a long-term starting quarterback personally. I mean, I love Fitzmagic. The guy's electric. I love watching him play, but he's more of a backup that comes in and creates a spark to me.
I mean, there's a possibility that, Fitzpatrick ends up becoming a bridge to another quarterback. I feel like, he's right now there in Miami with Tua coming in with, obviously a slew of lower body injuries, but most recently a hip injury. I think that there is a strong possibility that we see Fitzpatrick continue to, I mean, it's crazy. I forget how many teams he's actually played for now in the NFL, but I wouldn't be shocked if he's wearing another jersey,
right?
At some point within the next year or two. But eventually they're going to make that move from Fitzpatrick to Tua. But could he play somewhere else? Absolutely. If you have him in Dynasty in a super flex league and you can get something for him right now, I'd probably go ahead and sell him. Probably wait until after this week because he should put up some pretty good fantasy numbers. Go ahead and sell him after this week.
Yeah. The only real quick I just want to mention about Tua, my only concern, I read a report this week, he hasn't really been hit yet. So I think he even has a questionable tag on him, but maybe they're nervous about it.
Well, they should be. I mean, they drafted a guy with a pretty lengthy injury history from his college days, playing behind a pretty damn good offensive line there in Alabama. For good reason, they're taking it very cautiously with Tua Tagovailoa. So, of course, I mean, right now Fitzpatrick isn't playing like dog shit. I mean, he's gonna be Fitzpatrick. Some games he's gonna look great, and some days he's gonna look like a journeyman veteran backup quarterback. So, it's there's just no need to make that move right now. So
for sure,
you don't need to make it. Just play it safe. But speaking of playing it safe, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our fantasy football content heading into the 2020 NFL season. Also, remember to join us tomorrow. I mean, we've had a crazy week. The Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Patriots have been postponed until either Monday or Tuesday, but is there a strong possibility that could be exactly what happens to the Titans Steelers? You may have some lineup questions. We go live 10:30 Eastern Standard Time every Sunday morning for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, answering your lineup questions. So go ahead and subscribe. Click the little bell so you get a notification every time we drop a new live video. And until next time, everybody, make sure you get to monkeyknifefight.com, create an account, use the promo code FOCUSED when you make your first deposit. Monkey Knife Fight will match it up to $50. So until next time, everybody, good luck and later says the tater.
See you guys. Good luck.